The stars were quiet, but then the sound came, a strange, cold laugh. It wasn't human. It echoed across deep space and reached the small blue planet called Earth. Somewhere, far away, a group of alien leaders sat around a glowing table, watching Earth on their screens. They were smiling. One of them leaned forward. They still use metal machines, it said, still burn fuel, still believe they are ready. Another one chuckled. They are small, soft, they don't even have proper shields. This planet is no threat. The others agreed. To them, Earth was just a tiny world, full of noise and confusion. It was not ready for the stars. It was not ready for war. So they laughed, and they planned. Back on Earth, no one knew about the laughter, but strange things had already started. In Antarctica, at the bottom of the world, something was changing. A small research station sat quiet under the snow. It had 20 people, scientists, engineers, explorers, all working to study the ice. One morning, all communications stopped. No one answered the radio. No messages. Just silence. A second team was sent from a nearby base. They arrived by snow vehicle. The building was still there. Doors locked. Lights off. But no people. Inside, everything was frozen. Meals half-eaten. Papers left on desks. Coats still hanging. But not a single person was found. One soldier picked up a recording device. The last audio log played. "We found something," the voice said. "Deep under the ice. It's not a rock. It's not ice. It's watching us. I think it's awake." Then the recording ended. A strange static followed, like whispering. The news reached the United Nations within hours. A quiet emergency meeting was held. Only a few world leaders were invited. They sat in a dark room beneath the city, watching the satellite footage from Antarctica. It showed something strange, lines forming in the ice. Long, perfect lines. Like something was drawing symbols under the ground. An old man at the table spoke. He was from a forgotten tribe in the south. "This is not new," he said softly. "My people told stories of a being that sleeps under the white land, a protector, a watcher, waiting for the stars to return." Many in the room shook their heads. They called it myth, folklore, just stories. But one scientist, Dr. Hannah Yilmaz, looked worried. "We always believed Antarctica was just ice," she said. "But deep scans now show a structure, huge. It's shaped like a living thing." "Could it be a mountain?" someone asked. "No," she said. "It has patterns, heat pockets, and something is pulsing inside it." Still, the others were not convinced. "Even if something is down there," a leader said, "how does this help us? The aliens are real. We heard their message. They are coming." Outside the building, a cold wind moved through the streets. People didn't know what was happening, but they felt nervous. Birds flew strangely. Clouds moved faster. And in some parts of the world, the ground quietly shook. Far above Earth, hidden in the black sky, the alien fleet waited. Their ships were silent, dark as shadows. They had weapons ready, but no fear in their minds. One of them said, "Let us begin. Earth is not ready." But just before they gave the command, something unexpected happened. A low sound came from the South Pole, a deep, slow hum, like the Earth itself was breathing. It grew louder, echoing across the ocean, bouncing through the mountains. Animals became still. Wind stopped. Even machines picked up strange signals they couldn't explain. Then a light blinked on the satellite screen. A message from the old, empty base in Antarctica. Just one line of text. "It's awake." Dr. Hannah's hands shook as she stared at the screen. "No one was left there," she whispered. "Who sent this?" At the same moment, in the alien ship, one of the commanders stood up. "That signal, it's not human." Another scanned it again and spoke slowly. "It's old, older than their species." They fell silent. On Earth, deep under the frozen land, something opened an eye. Not a normal eye. It had no pupil, no iris, just light. A quiet glow that slowly spread through the cracks in the ice above. It had been asleep for a long, long time. It had seen the stars before. It had fought things before. And now, it was needed again. The ice shifted, slowly, softly, but it shifted above. In the clear Antarctic sky, clouds began to form a perfect circle. The world did not know what was coming, but something ancient had just woken up, and it was listening. The wind moved gently across the snow, but something didn't feel right. Antarctica was supposed to be quiet, still, frozen. But now the ice was making sounds, soft, Distant rumbles, like something deep beneath, was stretching after a long sleep. The scientists at the backup station were unsure what to do. Most of them stood near the window, looking out at the ice. There were no people at the first station, no signs of trouble, yet none of them could ignore what they had heard. The strange message from the empty base. It's awake. Dr. Hannah Yilmaz sat at a metal desk, listening again to the last recording. She played it over and over. Each time she heard something new. A low hum, a soft vibration in the background, a faint clicking noise that didn't sound human or natural. It's like a heartbeat, she said quietly. What kind of heartbeat? One of the young researchers asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at the readings from the ground scanner. A new line had appeared on the chart, gentle but steady pulses from under the ice. Not random, not natural, almost controlled. Meanwhile, across the world, strange things were happening. In the deserts of Africa, the sand moved in waves. In the forests of South America, birds flew in circles. In the deep sea, whales began to sing a new tone, one that hadn't been heard before. It was as if the whole planet was reacting to something deep and unknown. Back in space, the alien fleet remained silent. But something had changed. The laughter was gone. Now they were watching with more care. The main ship moved closer to Earth, scanning the polar regions. The alien leader, tall and silver-skinned, pointed to the map of Antarctica. There is something beneath this world, it said. It does not belong to them. Another replied, then who does it belong to? No one answered. Not yet. At the UN command room, the world's top minds were trying to stay calm. They had the data, they had the warnings, but they didn't have the answers. General Okoye looked at the global energy map. Something is pulling power from the Earth's core, she said, very slowly, very precisely. Another expert added, we don't know what it is, but it's old. Our records don't go back far enough. This predates all known human history. Suddenly, a new satellite image appeared on the screen. It showed a massive circular mark forming on the ice. Not carved, not burned, just formed, as if the ice itself had shifted to make it. Dr. Hannah looked closer. It's not a symbol, it's a door. Everyone fell silent. But far beneath the surface, deep inside a hidden chamber, something sat still. It wasn't metal, it wasn't stone. It looked smooth like crystal, but shaped like a great machine. Around it, the walls were covered in soft blue light. Strange marks covered the ground, patterns older than language. It had not moved in many years, but now, its core was warming. Quiet waves of light moved across its body, like breath. It did not remember everything, but it remembered enough. It remembered stars. It remembered watchers. It remembered waiting. Outside, the ice cracked softly at first, like thin glass touched by warm fingers. A group of explorers near the edge of the field saw something unusual. A line of steam rose slowly from a deep crack in the glacier. Then another, and another dot. One of them whispered, "The ice is breathing." They stepped back, unsure what to think. None of their tools explained this. None of their training prepared them for it. The glacier was acting like a living thing. Elsewhere, in a quiet temple in Asia, a monk sat near a book that hadn't been opened in centuries. That morning, without warning, the book's cover shifted. Dust rose into the air. The monk opened the pages and saw a sketch that looked exactly like the shape forming in Antarctica. He whispered to himself, "The Guardian is waking." Back at the base, Dr. Hannah stared out the window as the clouds began to swirl above. "It's not just coming from below," she said. "It's reaching upward, as if it's calling something from the sky." At that very moment, in the alien mothership, a message appeared in their system. It was not sent by humans. It was not sent by any known race. And yet, the language was somehow familiar. It spoke one word: observe. The leader stepped back. That is not possible. That system should not be online. But it was. Back on Earth, far below the snow, a light opened inside the great sleeping structure. For the first time in thousands of years, it began to move, not fast, not loud, just enough to let the world know it had heard the stars laughing. And now, it was listening back. The stars above Earth had seen many things, but they had not seen this, not for a very long time. Deep under Antarctica, in a place untouched by time, the ice was no longer still. It moved gently, slowly, as if guided by something not fully awake, but no longer fully asleep. The frozen ground held a memory, not a machine, not a creature, but something in between. It had been left behind by beings long forgotten, placed carefully under the coldest place on Earth, not as a weapon, not as a warning, but as a watcher. Now, it had begun to remember. In the quiet dark, it listened. The whispers of the stars had reached it. The laughter, the mockery, the arrival of those who once tried to control all life. The signals from space had not gone unnoticed. The watcher, though buried deep beneath the surface, had always been listening. And now, it was thinking. Above ground, Dr. Hannah stood in the command center with her eyes on the screen. She hadn't slept in 2 days. The symbols forming in the ice were now glowing faintly, but steadily. She ran her fingers across a dusty old book found in a forgotten corner of the university's archives. Inside was a sketch drawn by a man who lived 500 years ago. It showed a shape beneath the Earth, the same shape now visible from satellites. "It's not a new threat," she whispered. "It's something old, something left behind, for us." The others in the room watched as the satellite feed changed again. This time, not a circle or a line but movement. A soft wave beneath the ice, rolling outward, almost like breathing. In a desert far away, a radio tower suddenly picked up strange frequencies. They were not sharp or loud. They were soft, musical, like someone humming an old lullaby from a distant time. Experts tried to translate it, but the message was not in words. It was a pattern, a song, a rhythm meant not for ears, but for memory. And still, the watcher remembered more. It had not always been asleep. Once, long ago, it had stood above the ground. It had walked, not to conquer, but to protect. It had seen stars fall and rise again. It had seen other worlds, and helped many, until a great silence came, until it was told to rest. It had chosen Earth, a planet still young, full of promise. The stars had turned away from it, but the watcher had not. Now, that promise was in danger. In space, aboard the alien mothership, the silence had changed. The leaders were no longer laughing. They stood around a floating screen that showed the strange energy coming from Antarctica. "This is not human," one of them said. Another one replied, "But it protects them." They did not know what it was. Their records had no name for it. Only one word remained from the old language, the Sentinel. They had hoped Earth would be easy to study, quiet, weak, but now, they were not sure. Something was responding to their presence, something ancient, something they could not control. Back on Earth, the ice cracked softly, and below it, a shape began to form. Large, smooth, silent. Its edges glowed blue. Not fire, not metal, a different kind of light. The kind that moved like thought. The scientist in the command center gasped. "It's not built by humans, but it's shaped like us." And that was true. The structure hidden beneath the ice had arms, legs, a chest. It was not a robot, not a creature, but something that seemed to understand shape, balance, movement, purpose. A design made for more than function, Dr. Hannah whispered. It was waiting for us to grow. In temples, caves, and mountains around the world, old carvings began to react. Symbols that had not glowed in centuries now shined with the same soft blue light as the ice in Antarctica. Tribes and forgotten cultures gathered, watching the ancient stories come alive once again. A monk in Nepal opened a hidden scroll. The last line read, "When the stars mock, the guardian shall rise," and now it was rising, not fully, not yet, but the ice was no longer hiding it. The hum grew louder, not in the ears, but in the heart. People began to feel it in their dreams, a sense that something large, quiet, and patient had opened its eyes after a long, peaceful sleep. The clouds above Antarctica began to spiral in a perfect circle. In the sky, the alien ships moved quietly. Their scans showed something impossible. The energy coming from Antarctica was older than their oldest ship. It had a signature that matched nothing in their records. One of the alien leaders spoke softly, almost to itself. "We should not have come here." But it was too late. The Earth had awakened its past, and the Watcher had started to remember its purpose. It was not sent to destroy. It was not built to fight. It was created for something more, to protect, to watch. To rise only when truly needed. And now, after all these years, it had decided. It was time. The ice was no longer just ice. It moved with quiet purpose, forming patterns so perfect they couldn't be natural. Deep under the Antarctic surface, something ancient was no longer hidden. It had begun to rise, not with noise, but with quiet certainty, as if it knew this moment had been waiting for a long time. In the cold air above, clouds spun slowly in a circle, as if drawn by an invisible hand. The ground was calm, but the air carried something new. People near the research station felt it first. Not fear, not confusions, something different, like standing in front of something important, something sacred. Inside the command center, Dr. Hannah watched the data as it changed every minute. The shapes in the ice had now taken form. Clear, sharp lines shaped like arms, legs, and a tall frame. It wasn't metal. It wasn't stone. It seemed to be something in between, something smooth and alive, but not breathing like a living creature. One of the young scientists pointed at the screen. It's not waking up quickly. It's like it's waiting. Waiting for what? Someone asked. Dr. Hannah stood up slowly. Maybe it's waiting for us to understand why it's here. Far away, on top of a quiet mountain, an old man opened a wooden box passed down through generations. Inside was a smooth, round stone. It had never done anything before, but now, it glowed with soft blue light. The old man whispered words. His grandfather once told him, "When the blue light returns, so will the protector." The story had always sounded like legend, a tale to share with children. But now, the Earth itself was telling the same story again. In space, the alien ships remained still. Their scanners showed unusual results, energy lines moving through Earth's surface like quiet rivers, all connecting to one place, Antarctica. The leaders were unsure. "It is not attacking," one of them said. "No," replied another. "It is preparing." But for what? The watchers aboard the alien vessel were not afraid yet, but they were no longer amused. What they had called weak now felt mysterious. What they had ignored now demanded their attention. Back on Earth, something even more strange occurred. A group of people arrived at the outer border of the frozen land. They wore simple clothes, their faces calm. They were not scientists, not soldiers. They were from an old tribe once believed to be gone forever. But they were not gone. They had waited in silence, guarding stories passed from parent to child. One of them stepped forward and looked at the horizon. "The ice is opening," he said. "The Guardian remembers." The group carried no weapons, only ancient tools and symbols. They walked forward without fear, as if the cold wind welcomed them. When they reached the outer edge of the glowing pattern in the ice, the leader placed his hand on the snow. The ground responded with a gentle hum, not loud, not dangerous. A greeting dot back at the research station. Dr. Hannah received a report. Unknown group approaching. No signs of danger. She met them outside. The tribal leader looked into her eyes and spoke in a quiet voice. "You have heard its call. So have we. Do you know what it is?" she asked. He nodded. "It has no name. It does not need one. It is a promise, left by those who came before." Dr. Hannah asked, "Why now?" The man closed his eyes. "Because the stars have turned back toward us. Because something out there has forgotten what this planet once was. And because Earth remembers." The sky above grew more colorful. Lights danced near the edge of space, not like normal auroras, but in shapes, circles, waves, signs. Then, the ground beneath the ice began to glow. A pulse moved across the snow, slow and steady, like a heartbeat through the land. The alien mothership received a signal again, not from Earth's governments, not from satellites, but from deep underground. It said only one word: observe. Again, the same word, the same voice, calm, ancient, a voice that came not from any species, but from something that stood outside of time. The alien leaders stepped away from their screens. One of them spoke quietly. "We came to measure a world," it said, "but we may have entered a memory." And still, the Guardian rose. Its chest was now fully above the ice, tall and glowing with quiet light. It looked strong, but peaceful. Its hands were open. It did not move quickly. It did not speak. But everything about it said one thing: "I am here, not to fight, not to rule, but to stand." As the sun touched the edge of the frozen continent, its rays reflected off the Guardian's surface. The light bounced back into the sky, making a shape that could be seen from orbiter, single blue circle, floating like a signal to the stars, a message to the galaxy. Earth is not alone, not anymore. The sun had barely risen over the horizon, but the light in Antarctica was not from the sun alone. The ice glowed softly with blue patterns, like rivers of quiet energy, spreading out from a single center. That center stood tall, now a being, or perhaps a creation, half covered in mist. Its eyes did not shine. yet everyone who looked at it felt seen. From far above the planet, the alien mothership continued to observe. The fleet's scanners traced the energy waves moving across Earth's crust. These waves were not random. They were organized like a map, or maybe a message, and all of them pointed to one truth. The structure beneath the ice was not just awakening, it was communicating. The alien leader leaned closer to the glowing map. "It's not defending the planet," it said. "It's speaking to it." Down on Earth, strange things continued to happen. Birds no longer flew in their usual patterns. They gathered in silent groups, circling above the same spot in Antarctica. Ocean waves moved in slow, perfect rhythms. Trees in distant forests leaned slightly east, as if reaching toward something. In the control room, Dr. Hannah stood at her desk, surrounded by screens, maps, and voices from across the globe. "The energy field is now touching all continents," she said. "It's like the whole planet is connected through it." An engineer nearby asked, "Is it trying to control Earth?" Dr. Hannah shook her head slowly. "No, I think it's reminding Earth of something it already knew." At the same time, the quiet group from the old tribe continued to stand at the edge of the glowing field. The elder placed his hand gently on the snowy ground, and this time, something answered. A low sound filled the air, not loud, not scary, just a tone, deep and soft. It vibrated through the ground, through the sky, through the bones of those who heard it. A sound that felt like home. The elder looked up. The sky will change next. And he was right. Above the clouds, far beyond Earth's atmosphere, the alien ships began to shift. One of them sent a test beam toward the surface only, to have it disappear, not explode, not bounce, just disappear, like it had never existed. On board the mothership, quiet alarms lit up. "Energy disruption," said one of the watchers. "Unknown pattern." It erased the beam. The leader stared in silence. It didn't block us. It chose not to let the energy arrive. This was something they had never seen before. A force not based on power, but on permission. Not stopping something, but simply not allowing it. The Guardian stood tall, unmoving, its chest now fully uncovered, glowing with a gentle pattern circular, like a clock with no hands. Beneath it, the land had warmed. Ice melted in careful shapes, creating small pools that reflected the sky. In one of those pools, a reflection appeared that was not part of the landscape. A star, a shape, a memory. Dr. Hannell saw it first. "There's something in the reflection that's not in the sky." The tribal elder nodded. "It's remembering what came before." A flash of blue light passed across the sky, not from Earth, but from beyond the moon. A new object had arrived. A shape large enough to be a ship, but not designed like the alien fleet. It was smooth, silent, and moved with purpose. It did not appear with noise. It simply entered, as if it had always been there, just invisible until now. Global satellites picked it up. Scientists called it unknown. The Guardian, however, responded the moment it appeared. Its chest light pulsed slowly, and the ice beneath its feet shifted again. A message was being sent across space, across memory, and the message was simple. "We are not the only ones." The alien fleet paused. For the first time, their leaders showed something close to hesitation. One of them whispered, "There is more here than we understood." Back on Earth, children began to have the same dream of standing before a tall figure with gentle eyes, surrounded by stars, not scared, not confused, but calm. In every dream, the same words were spoken. "You have always been more than you believed." News reports couldn't explain it. Governments tried to stay quiet, but people everywhere felt it. Something greater was happening, not just around them, but inside them. The Guardian did not speak, it did not move, but it did not need to. Its presence was changing Earth itself, not by force, but by memory. And far in the sky, that second object, the silent one, the watcher from beyond, began to glow. Whatever it was, it had returned. And the Guardian welcomed it. Together, they stood for something Earth had forgotten, that even in silence, there is power, that even in sleep, there is preparation, and that even in small worlds, great things wait to rise. The sky above Earth no longer looked the same. Clouds moved in shapes never seen before, spirals, arcs, and symbols that slowly faded and returned. The stars, though far, felt closer. People across the planet stood still, sensing something beyond what eyes could explain. In the middle of Antarctica, the Guardian remained silent. It had not stepped forward, it had not spoken. But it had changed everything. Across the planet, its soft energy had touched every forest, every ocean, every mountain. Animals moved in harmony. Water became calm. Even time itself felt slower, as if the earth was holding its breath. And then, something responded. High above the planet, beyond the moon's edge, the second object, the unknown one that had entered, quietly began to open, not like a machine, more like a flower. Its surface unfolded in soft, curved layers. Lights glowed in patterns that moved like waves. It revealed not weapons, not engines, but symbols, old ones, the same that now glowed across Antarctica's ice dot. In the control room, Dr. Hannah stared at the screen. "Those are the same markings we found in the caves," she said. "The same ones we never understood." A historian beside her whispered, "Because they weren't made for us to read. They were made for the Guardian to remember." The alien fleet continued to hover near Earth, but now their voices were quieter. Their scans showed something impossible. Dozens of hidden signals had begun to rise from deep within Earth's crust. Not dangerous, not random, but very old. Each one different, but all carrying a similar rhythm. A kind of language. The leader of the alien fleet turned to the others. "These signals are not from the humans. They are older than their species, older than this planet." Another replied, "But they are waking now." Something was happening across the Earth. On the ocean floor, a massive shape slowly lit up beneath the waves. Off the coast of Greenland, fishermen reported strange lights rising under the water, moving slowly, like a city breathing beneath the sea. In the desert, ancient stone towers began to hum, though no machine touched them. In South America, deep within the jungle, a long-forgotten pyramid cracked open, revealing walls lined with symbols identical to those on the Guardian's chest. Every part of the world had once held something, a piece of a puzzle, a part of a forgotten story, that now those pieces were coming together. The tribal elder who had first met Dr. Hannah walked to the edge of the glowing field once more. He placed a smooth stone on the ground. The moment it touched the snow, it melted. A small circle around Iton from the earth beneath, a soft blue light rose. "This was never just about Earth," he said. "This is part of something greater." Dr. Hannah looked at him. "What do you mean?" He smiled gently. "Before humans knew space, before we built cities, this planet was chosen. Not because it was powerful, not because it was special, but because it could grow. Grow into what? A voice." The Guardian shifted slightly, and for the first time, it raised one hand, not quickly, not with force but with grace. The movement sent a wave of light into the sky. Not heat, not sound, just light. Far above, the second object, now fully open, responded with its own light. The two lights met in space. The moment they touched, something changed. All across the world, those who were asleep began to dream. And in their dreams, they stood in wide fields, under skies filled with moving stars. A tall figure, gentle, stood with them, and it said the same thing to all of them. "You are not alone. You were never alone." In the alien mothership, something unexpected happened. One of the young officers removed their hand from the control panel. "I feel something," they said softly. "You feel?" "Yes, like memory." The leaders looked confused. Their kind did not dream. They did not feel in the human way. Yet, now, something in them had changed. The presence of the Guardian, the second structure, the quiet hum across Earth, it was touching them too. Back on the ground, Dr. Hannah noticed something new on the Guardian's chest. A small circular space began to glow in a color different from the rest, not blue but golden. She walked closer, her heart calm, her steps slow. The golden light pulsed in a gentle rhythm. She whispered, "It's like it's waiting for something." Then, without warning, the clouds above broke apart, not with noise, but with soft light. From beyond the sky, hundreds of small lights appeared. They were not ships, not tools. They looked like stars, but they moved with purpose. Each one drifted gently, downward, toward different parts of Earth. The elder spoke again. "They are memories, carried across time, sent back to places they were meant to return." Dr. Hannah watched as one of the lights landed in her hand. It didn't burn, it didn't shine too bright. It simply rested there, and in that moment, she understood. The Guardian was not a weapon, it was a key, a doorway. And now, the door was open, not to escape, not to defend, but to reconnect. Earth had been chosen long ago, as a battlefield, but as a bridge. And now, after ages of silence, the bridge was complete.